Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play cast brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, aka Magicman, and we've got what is our destiny. And some other fun news, so let's cover it all. We'll get to your weekly bombs and your one feedback for last week's question of the week, because apparently nobody cares about Ashes of Creation, the MMORPG. Joining me on this little adventure, Mr. Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
Well, I just booked a flight to northern Minnesota in November, so I must not be feeling too well.
Yeah, you must be sick. Why would you do that? That's like the worst time to go.
No, the worst time is mid-January. Trust me.
Is it?
November can be iffy, but yeah, December, January, no, don't even.
Well, we hope for your sake that when you go, you are able to fly out. That's always the biggie. Can you get out? Can you escape? Or is the weather going to hold you there?
Look, if not, at least I have a place to stay.
No Q today because we're going to be talking predominantly about Destiny 2, and we all know she's, I'm not a huge first-person shooter person, but she's, not into that at all. So rather than have a host here that kind of chimes in here and there, figured Jason and I would just do the show today. So let's get started with just the duo show and slide over to the news. So, I already kind of spoiled it, Jason. We're going to be talking about Destiny. Destiny 2 is now free to play. You can get the New Light Edition on Steam and go ahead and play it. You can also buy Shadowkeep, the most recent expansion. So we've had Destiny 2, we've had the Forsaken expansion, and now we have Shadowkeep. There was some DLC in both the original Destiny and the Forsaken expansion as well. We're kind of going to go through what you get in this New Light Edition in a nice little comprehensive package for you. But first, let's talk about our impressions of the game, because we've never gotten to talk about Destiny 2 besides, the occasional reference or, hey, I do like it, I didn't like this, and whatever. But now that it's free to play, we do actually get to talk about it. Jason, before I go into any of my pros and cons of the game, I don't want to taint your opinion at all. You've played it for a day or two now. Did not pick it up when it came out, right? You did not buy it.
Nope.
So this was your first Destiny 2 experience. So you didn't have any of the bought it on day one, thought the story was great, and then had nothing to do after that, and all the drama that happened after Destiny 2's launch. You were not tainted by any of that. This is a true first look for you. What do you think about Destiny 2 now that you've had a few hours into the game?
So, not only having not played it, but again, like I said, I lightly followed the news and controversy this, controversy that, but it really wasn't anywhere on my personal radar. I wasn't like, oh man, they're doing a new thing, that sounds cool, or anything like that. I was just like, okay, Destiny 2 is doing a thing, I want to move on to the next piece of news or whatever. I didn't care about it to any extent. So not only did I not play it, but I went in with the notion of what even is this game? It's a looter shooter. That's what I know.
Yes, it is not a stabber grabber. It is a looter shooter.
You're a space guy with special powers, and that's literally about all I knew about it.
So you didn't know any lore, and even the controversy stuff you were just peripherally aware of.
The most basic lore: futuristic shooter, end of humanity, save everyone. Yeah, that was what I knew basically.
All right.
And I knew that apparently in Destiny 1, Peter Dinklage was really awful as the voice of the ghost, I think.
Yes, to the point that it was redubbed.
Yes, that it was redubbed. It was actually redubbed in Destiny 1?
Post-launch, it was fixed,
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so first off, then, here's the big question. What did you roll, Hunter, Warlock, or Titan?
I did a poll on my Twitter, and everyone said I should play... Well, about 50% voted Warlock, and everyone who commented said I should play Warlock, so I had to go with that.
That's not what I voted for. I voted in your poll. I voted for Hunter. I love my Hunter. That's my main. So you rolled up with a Warlock. And for those of you that have played Destiny 2 previously, and we're now talking about the New Light Edition, the free-to-play edition, L-I-G-H-T, not L-I-T-E, as in PUBG Lite. That's a different thing, and a different style. Anyway, it is probably worth checking out the first look video that I posted this week, even if you don't watch the whole thing because you already know a lot about Destiny and you're not a free-to-play player. It is worth at least watching maybe the first 10 minutes or so, just so you can see how the beginning of the game has changed. What Jason did is not what we did when we started the game, right? We got thrown into a huge battle, and the Traveler came down, and we had to fight our way back, and we got to the farm, and we did the Red War campaign. Then finally we got back to the tower. That's not it at all. In fact, you start off at the tower pretty much right away. They put you at the Cosmodrome. Your ghost wakes you up. That's all still the same. You go find a ship, but you fly directly to the tower from there. So Jason got the true new free-to-play player experience, and you started at a 500 or a 750 power level, so that's cool.
I guess. Did you normally start at like 1 before?
Yes, in fact.
Okay.
0. No powers. No powers to give.
Oh, God, that does sound crappy. So yeah, anyway.
Well, keep in mind, this is the second expansion. I mean, this is, the game's been up for, what, 4 years now? 3.5 years? Something like that. This is the second expansion. So it's kind of, a lot like when we get into our MMORPGs. We do the level grind all the way to level cap, and then you start the gear grind after that. Power is essentially the gear grind. So
well, I could have questions about that, but anyway, we'll getting back into my impressions. Yeah, as someone who's never played it before and who just jumped in, I agree. When you talk about all that stuff, you talk about a farm or whatever the heck that is. Yeah, I have no idea what that means. And there were times during, when I'm playing and I'm talking to NPCs, it did feel a little disconnected. Like at times, it felt like there was lore that I just didn't know. It wasn't as smoothly presented maybe all the time as I would have liked, and it felt a little difficult to get into it. So. And I don't know if that's a consequence of not having played Destiny 1 or not having played the old version of Destiny 2, but that was something that definitely got to me a little bit. So for the most part, I just kind of had to shut off my brain and say, I'm going to go kill stuff, and there's monsters or whatever. I'll kill them and get loot, and yay, that's what the game is going to be about. I get a feeling like I did the first look for Guild Wars 2 when that first came out, and of course I was an experienced Guild Wars 2 player, so I almost feel bad. I almost feel like I maybe skimmed through some stuff that a person who would be totally new to the game might have wanted to learn more about, or might have not understood as easily as I did. It's almost like I want to go back and do that now, having had probably the similar experience, only this time being the noob in Destiny 2 and not knowing where everything is. I got to the tower, yeah, like you said, and I'm looking around like, wow, there's like 83 NPCs here to talk to.
Yeah, right.
It actually reminded me when I first played World of Warcraft, like in 2010. And I go to the first town, there's like, here's a guy to shut off your leveling. Why the hell would I want to do that? Here's 18 different people for raid gear or whatever. I'm like, oh my God, there's just crap all over the place. And that is kind of my impression. There is crap all over the place.
There really is. There really is. And I took a little bit of a different angle with the first look video for this than I think you did with the Guild Wars 2 one. I specifically said that like really early in the first look, that this first look, if you were a Destiny 2 player and had been for a while, don't look for anything new here besides if you're just curious about what the New Light edition offers to your friends that maybe you're trying to get them to jump in with you. I treated this, even though I have a lot of experience with the game, as a true first look, and I deleted one of my characters, created a new one, went through all the introductory stuff that you did to get to the tower. I did the first strike that Zavala gives you as a quest to do, and just showed it off from the free-to-play perspective. So a little bit of a different approach on there. I do think maybe we can do some more Destiny 2 video content, because I know I'm going to continue to play it, and if you continue to play it as well, I don't know if it'll stick with you or not. We'll get to that later. But if it does, then maybe we can do some, PvP guide videos or PvE guide videos, stuff like that. Let us know in the comments if you want some more of that type of content from us. There is an awful lot, and I want to kind of break this down real quick. There's little bits and pieces. What do you get as a free-to-play player when you do the Destiny 2 thing? Well, when you go to Steam and you download New Light, you get pretty much everything that's in year one. And so that's all the way up to the Forsaken expansion. That's the original base game and the 2 DLCs that came out after the base game, but before Forsaken. Now, that doesn't mean that it's as clean and simple as that. It isn't. There is some stuff in Forsaken that you are able to do, that you are able to get, that you are able to take part in, that you are able to explore. So it's not just saying, hey, you get everything from year one, and then you have to buy Forsaken and buy Shadowkeep. it's not quite that clean. You do get everything from year one, so that includes all the gear, all the strikes, all the PvP maps, all the different content that was available through the original and both expansions. That includes all the campaigns, which, Jason, you can do if you want to. You don't have to. And we'll talk about that in a second, too. You start to leak into Forsaken, you will get to be able to do gambits and some other modes that didn't come out until Forsaken came out. And they are part of Forsaken, but they're not locked for you. There's even a couple exotics, not many, that are in Forsaken that are available to you. Why they're available is because they actually were the result of some quest lines that they are open for you, so they go ahead and they let you take the reward even if it's a Forsaken item. Tons and tons of stuff to do. As far as what's available for free-to-play players, Jason, in my opinion, and I've seen a lot, and so have you, of free-to-play conversions from buy-to-play to free-to-play. There is almost an overwhelming amount of content available for free, no limitations. I really got to give Bungie kudos on how much they gave free players here.
Yeah, I mean, again, I can make another comparison to Guild Wars 2 in that sense, because they were kind of like that too when they went free-to-play, just before the first expansion came out. So they had all the stuff that they'd had in the game up to that point, all the zones, all the dungeons. I think fractals were included too. So all that different stuff. For me, it's more of a challenge to try to figure out, like when you talk about gambits and strikes and crucible, I'm like, what the heck is all that? I'm getting to it eventually. Right now,
Yep.
I'm basically just letting them kind of guide me along, following the path that's being laid out for me by the NPCs. Wandering around a little bit in that
That's
European
the best
zone.
way. Yeah, as a new player, if you've never played it before, follow the New Light quest line. Mm-hmm. That will take you to Banshee first to see, okay, here's where I can get some basic weapons when I want to. Then it'll take you to Zavala, who's going to teach you about strikes and have you go do a strike. Then you're going to come back, and I forget the order of them, but eventually, you'll do the strike, you'll come back, you'll talk to the PvP person who will send you to go do the Crucible, 1 or 2 matches in the Crucible to come back. Then they'll send you to go talk to the Gambit guy. I may be getting the order wrong here, but as far as all the features, strikes, flashpoints, Nightfalls, and Gambit, and PvP, the New Line quest actually takes you through all of those. It's a really nice sample platter, if you will, of it has you go do basically one of each of these things so that you can start learning to navigate the menu and all the different content. There's not really a story. It's more of a, hey, here's all the shit you have access to. Let us show you one at a time what all these pieces of content are and how you can get into them if you want to play them. And then if you just want to do that stuff over and over again, fine. You just want to log in and PvP, go ahead. If that's all you like, go for it. You're not restricted by any of that stuff. They do lock the planets, though. And this is kind of clever the way they did it, I think. You initially cannot just go to all the planets, but you can unlock them. Even planets that came out in Forsaken. You may not have story content and stuff available on those planets because you didn't buy Forsaken, but you can go explore and, farm monsters and all the normal shit on the planets if you want. The way it's locked is just simply through experience gain. That's it. So if you want to go PvP, you're going to naturally be unlocking the planets anyway, just by sitting there and doing PvP. You don't have to do a long campaign to catch up to your buddies, unlock all these things, and open them up. Or, if you do opt to go to talk to Amanda Holiday in the tower, who will give you the Red War campaign, that is the base Destiny campaign. You can start there and work your way through it. You can do all that if you want to. And if you unlock the planets as part of the story before you meet the experience threshold they've set for it, it doesn't matter. They will unlock it because you're at that part of the story. So I like that, Jason. Nice way of, all right, we do need to gate some gates here for difficulty's sake, but we don't have to tie it all behind the story. One thing that, as much as a Final Fantasy XIV fan as I am, I think it does horribly is if new players want to join now, 3 expansions in, your option is play through all of the story content, because you have to do it all to unlock dungeons and catch up to me and be able to do the content that I'm doing, or shell out some extra money for some skips. Destiny 2 just says, hey, if you just want a PvP, fine. Go PvP. We'll unlock planets with the experience you gain via PvP, and if you want to go check these out, cool. By the way, here's all the original campaigns that you missed out on. If you want to go do them, cool. You'll get all the story, but you don't have to. I think it was a tremendous execution on Bungie's part here.
Well, that's how most MMOs work. Is when they let new players in, you have to grind up to max level to get to the real game.
Exactly.
So, and when you're talking about now, when you're starting with the 750 gear level, it gets me a little bit of that feeling that maybe it's kind of like that. But if it is like you said, where it just sort of sets you up to do the basic content and kind of go through and unlock the rest of it, then maybe it's not quite to that degree. Question I would have though is, what if you were, if you on your real Destiny character, the one you've been played all the time, you do raids or whatever on, could you come and play with me, and would it be a reasonable experience for the two of us?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
Like, it's not going to be you're going to one-shot everything, and
nope.
I'm going to struggle? Okay.
Nope. Because there is a scaling, and there has been since launch, a scaling mechanism with the AI that puts things into difficulty brackets for us. Now, there is some power locking in the game as far as like the more difficult content, like the Nightfalls and some of the raids. 750 may not cut it. You have to work your way up to, I don't know what they are, 800 now, let's say. And then you'll be able to go into it. But most of the content, that's really only relegated to the harder content in the game. Your first time through a strike, I may move faster and kill things faster, but it's only because I've been there before, I've done this before, I know where everything's spawning, I'm more experienced with it, not because I'm overpowering the shit out of the instance and just dragging you with me.
Cool. Yeah, I did a strike, and like the third player just kind of sat at the entrance the whole time. So
yeah.
We basically two-manned it.
Yeah, and the strikes at 750 power level, I mean, you're gonna go through most of them, even as a brand new player. You're gonna roll through them.
Not so much when you're
unless you make a mistake.
Soloing.
Yeah, well, yeah, soloing can be a bit challenging just because of the sheer number of things. Max power right now, by the way, is 960. But if you start New Light, you're gonna start at 750. So you're automatically thrown up into a relevant gear score while you start working to 960, and that's a soft cap anyway. With artifacts, you can tweak those artifacts. And
I'm already 770.
Get the artifact power raised, and it'll push you above 960. But for the base power, it's a cap of 960. All in all, Jason, I liked Destiny. I really liked Destiny 2 when it was first launched. It did have problems to the point that even an expert first-person shooter player like me ran out of things to do. I was, okay, I don't know what to do. I'm at the power cap, and there is no new content. And, yeah, there's been a lot added since then. This, by the way, doesn't mention all the side shit that you are able to do. The forges, you could go do those as a free-to-play player. Not a problem. You want to go do the 4 forges? Go ahead. You could do that. You could do all of the, you could do the first no, it's the first 3 raids, I think. You got the Leviathan, Eater of Worlds, and I can't remember the name of the third one, but you have access to those 3 raids, the 6-player raids. There's just so much here for free-to-play players. I would even say, at the risk of probably this isn't what Bungie wants to hear, don't buy shit right now. Just don't.
Yeah, if you're a new player, definitely. I mean, like I said, there is so much there. I'm wondering how long it's going to take me to get to the point where I'm going to be bored and I'm going to want to do new stuff. When I do, if I last that long, because right now it has that new game shine to it. Certainly.
Oh, absolutely.
It's something different. Something I haven't played this kind of game before. Honestly, about the closest I could think to it in terms of like a shooter with the same kind of open world and stuff to do, kind of reminds you the tiniest bit of Defiance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's got kind of that same feel, but like I said, a lot more shinier, very pretty to look at, probably just a lot more in general. So Eventually, I don't
That
know if
and
gonna
it's
take.
Destiny and Bungie, the shooting mechanics and the visuals. It's all technically speaking, it's a solid package
The
from
funny
top to
thing is,
bottom.
I've played maybe like an hour of Halo. So this is like I've already played more Destiny 2 than I played of anything else Bungie. But yeah, I mean, eventually down the road, whether it's 50 hours or 100 hours, 150, whatever, it's possible if I'm still interested back then, it seems high quality enough, I might get the expansions. I might pick that up.
Yeah.
Now, a big question for me is going to be, yeah, what is it going to be like at that point? Is it going to be end game grind where I have to run my face up to a raid, 50 times to get any good gear? How's that going to work out? How am I going to feel about that? About itemization in general, inventory management. So yeah, because I can salvage stuff. Like, how does that go with the crafting and everything? I have to learn all those systems, figure out how I'm going to firstly feel
You
about them.
do, but they are not as MMO complex as you're thinking they might be. They're not.
Okay.
They're not a Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, that type of
Everybody
thing.
shoots stuff. It's not like you have tank healer damage.
Right, and here's the great thing, right? The way it works is, and sorry, Destiny 2 players, I'm going to really oversimplify this for a second.
Please, I'm a noob.
In your kinetic slot, if you really like, let's say, scout rifles, okay? You like the particular scout rifle in your kinetic slot, and it's 750. The next 5 kinetic weapons you pick up are 780. It'd be nice to upgrade that, but none of them are scout rifles, and you don't like shotguns, you don't like the couple of things you've picked up. That's fine. All you do is you go to your scout rifle, you go to the details, and you open that up, and you can, like, I guess the best way to describe it is you absorb the other weapon, and it might have some materials that you need to do it to. Sometimes it's just the weapon, sometimes it's a weapon and a couple crystals that you get from disassembling items you don't care about. All the whites you pick up and most of the greens, you're going to just disassemble those into shards, and then, hey, I've got my 750 scout rifle. Let me go pick this kinetic weapon that I don't want that's level 780, and I'll use that and 5 legendary shards, and it will give your scout rifle the 780 gear score.
Oh,
so you can drag all the equipment that you like with you by just feeding it pieces that you've disassembled from other weapons, usually legendary shards and things you buy from vendors, and weapons or armor you're not going to use. Upgrade your gloves with these 5 sets of gloves that you don't want. So yeah, it's really easy. Once you do it once or twice, it looks confusing, but once you do it twice, you're like, oh yeah, disassemble, 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 infusion. Boom, done.
That's the thing I always worry about in MMO. It's like, okay, I got this piece of gear I don't need anymore. What do I do with it? Do I sell it? Do I salvage it? Do I put it on the auction house? What are my options here? What's the most efficient thing? So that's going to be...
I will tell you, if you are not going to use it, disassemble it.
Okay.
You can sell it if for some reason you're running into some serious credit issues, but basically you're going to be credit capped most of the time.
Glimmer, right? Isn't that the
Glimmer?
word?
Yeah.
Glimmer.
Glimmer,
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
yeah. See,
you're going to be glimmer capped most of the time anyway. So whites and greens, if you're not going to equip them, disassemble them.
Okay.
Get yourself legendary shards. Even purples, if you're not going to use them, go ahead and disassemble them. Unless you like the cosmetic look, then maybe keep it, and you can, put together gear sets and loadouts and stuff like that. But for the most part, it is safe to almost disassemble everything that you're not going to use. So that way you get legendary shards and sometimes these other more rare motes that you're going to use for infusing the weapons you do like with the power from weapons that you pick up.
Okay.
But yeah, sorry. We digressed there. I will say there are a couple of cons, at least in my book. One, the Eververse is still as present as ever. And if you don't know, that's Destiny 2's cash shop, which, yeah, fine. It's all cosmetic. I know. I hate that argument, though. It's all cosmetic, with the exception of a couple consumables that will, like, boost experience for you and your fire team for an hour and stuff like that. No power or anything is available in there. In fact, certain cosmetic gear that you get will come, I don't know what it is now, the Shadowkeep came out, but it used to be it would come in base power 10. That was it. And then you would have to infuse something you earned in-game into it to raise its power level up, which I thought was like a creative way to get around the power being tied to that gear. Just, make it 10. If you got an 800 piece of gear, go ahead and infuse it in there and make it 800, but you got to get that gear first. but it's still loot boxy. There is loot box stuff. There's buy it. The one thing I really don't like is you used to have to go to the Eververse, which is in the tower, to open these loot boxes if you earned them in game, or buy them and open them there. And that was the only place you can do it. And I think I mentioned on the show that I hate how subtle that is in getting you to their store, right? These items that you got in-game, you still got to go to the cash shop store in the tower to open those items, even though you earned them in-game. It was like a subtle psychological thing. I'm glad that you can access the store from somewhere else now, too. You can still go to the Eververse, but you don't have to. What I don't like is that it's right on the damn main menu. When you go to your director to pick planets that you're going to, there is now a store tab there. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, damn it. It's right. Like, how immersion breaking is that? This is supposed to be like your view of the galaxy. You're going to jump from the planet to planet and this, and there's a fucking store tab right there. Gross. But you don't have to walk to the Eververse anymore and have the psychology shuffle go on. So I don't know. I guess it's a little bit of a trade-off. All in all, I'm really happy with it. I do own Shadowkeep. Full disclosure, I bought all those. Obviously, Bungie's not going to give a free-to-play site this free expansion stuff. I've owned them. The other downside, I will say, Jason, is that although cross-save is a thing, cross-play still isn't. I hope that comes soon. And the other downside that I don't like, it was very easy to convert my battle.net account onto my Steam account. For those of you that are doing that, it takes 2 seconds. Very easy. It was very easy to set up all crossplay so that I could link my Xbox, PlayStation 4, and PC accounts together and play those characters on anyone I want. However, the game purchase is not account specific. It is system specific. So I purchased Shadowkeep on the PC. When I go out today to play some Final Fantasy trading card game, I'm going to hit, for my weekly locals, I'm going to hit GameStop because I need to buy some PS4 copies of Shadowkeep.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a little rough. That's a little rough. Not a fan, huh?
No, that sounds like a negative, having to buy the same content for 2 systems when you're using this. You use the same account on both.
Well, right? See, saying the same account is effectively what it's doing, yes. But what I think is happening in the background is that it is merely just linking 3 accounts. And it is saying, display this character data on these 3 accounts. This Xbox One account, this PlayStation 4 account, and this PC account. Not necessarily these 3 logins all come to this account. This Destiny account. I think if it were doing it that way, it would be really easy to say, this Destiny account owns Shadowkeep. So if you log in from any 3 of these devices and they're all being redirected to the one account, here you go. You have Shadowkeep. What makes me think is it's not that way is the fact that I got to buy it on separate things. Like for some reason, I don't have Forsaken on my PC. I know I have it for the PlayStation 4. I guess I never bought it for the PC because I was just playing on PlayStation 4. I bought Shadowkeep for the computer. So I went into the menu today before the cast to do something and clicked on something, and it was like, you don't own Forsaken. And I was like, the fuck I don't? And I was like, oh, I guess I don't on PC. Wow. That sucks. So yeah, what I think it's doing is it's saying there's 3 Destiny accounts. We're just making those characters available on all 3. Not, hey, take any of these 3 logins and redirect to this one Bungie account. And so kind of sucks.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, I think that's something they really got to fix too. I think they're okay right now. Because you were already playing Destiny 2 on whatever you wanted to play Destiny 2 on at this point, and if you weren't buying it for multiple things because there was no cross-play functionality. So they didn't have to worry about this. I think it's something that's got to be resolved for next expansion because it's not a selling feature.
No, it's quite the negative.
Yeah, it's quite the negative for an existing Destiny 2 player that all of a sudden was like, oh, sweet. That means I can play on the PC now. I've been playing on PlayStation 4. Let me play on the PC. Oh, shit. I have to buy Forsaken and Shadowkeep on here even though I already own it on the PS4. That sucks. So it's not really a selling point. But yeah, they're making more money off me, that's for sure. Jason, I've talked for like 5-10 minutes there straight. Sorry
I'm just
about
kind
that.
of going to sleep here.
Yeah, I want to get your kind of final word on the game. Your pros, your cons. Are you going to play it?
Yeah, I'm going to keep playing it, at least for the foreseeable future. Like I said, until it maybe wears off that sheen of being a new game. It's new and fancy, kind of cool to look at. Like I've never got into it before because I was just like, just going to be a repetitive shoot things, get loot over and over again.
And it is. It is.
Because like I play Guild Wars 2, and that's basically what that is, with less shooting but more tab targeting.
Right, and so's Warframe, which we're going to talk about in the question of the week. Obviously, now that Destiny 2 is free, does that change which one you're going to play, Warframe or Destiny 2?
Yeah, because they might be, they seem sort of similar in some way. Or Anthem. Oh, wait, nobody plays that. But yeah, in that sense, it seems like it's a thing I could just do when I'm just like, I don't want to think tonight. I'm just going to go blow some stuff up, get some loot, and go back. I don't know if it's going to be something that I necessarily go to play for 3 or 4 hours. Like, oh, tonight's Destiny night. I want to really get into it. After the first few days, first week or so, when I'm trying the new thing, it's tough to see that it's going to be something I will stick with just forever. Because again, like I said, to be honest, the thing that I was talking about with not really being at into the lore kind of gets to me a bit. So I don't know if it's something I want to invest myself in as much. But, for a while, it's going to be a fun distraction to try out.
The campaigns are good. The Red War campaign that you'll do first is good. Curse of Osiris and Warmind are okay. They're shorter because they're DLC.
I'm not going to remember any of
DLC
this.
Anyway. They're shorter. The Red War is really good. That's the campaign we all started out with. I enjoyed that. And Forsaken is good too. No spoilers, although you probably know the main spoilers at this point. So yeah, and I disagree. It is one that I tend to go, hey, it's Destiny night, because there's a crew and that's it's very MMO, and finally they're saying that they're allowed to say that now.
Yeah, no kidding.
So let us know what you think in the comments below. And in fact, our question of the week might be about that, and now competing directly with Warframe. There was always that Destiny 2 Warframe comparison being made all over the internet when it came out, and as Destiny 2 has improved, but we never really talked about it here because one had no barrier of entry, and one had a cost barrier of entry. Now that they don't, and we're this many years down the road, and Destiny 2's more fleshed out than those initial problems, does it compete with Warframe yet? I don't know. We'll talk about it in the question of the week. Before we get there, though, Jason, Dark Age of Camelot, seriously, someday is going free-to-play, right? Or a free-to-play version of it.
Someday being in, 4 weeks or so.
Because I seem to remember this being 5 years ago we heard about this.
It was only I think 2 years ago when they said they were going to have a free-to-play version of a game that first came out in 2001. So, been around a while, finally going to go free-to-play, at least to some degree. Was supposed to go in fall of 2018. That was what they initially announced. It was going to be, they were going to do their endless conquest.
They missed.
Yeah, they missed a little bit, and they actually specifically, I think he actually said it. Yeah, it's late. Oh no, sorry, that's the other thing. I think they talked about it. So yeah,
they're late.
Sorry, no, I think that is literally the other article that we're going to talk about in a little bit. I'm sorry, I got those confused.
No problem. Now it did look like some of the restrictions changed.
Yeah, they were going to be a lot more restrictive, but they said they got a lot more feedback from people, so they're going to allow you to make unlimited number of characters. Originally, it was supposed to be just one. They were going to, what was it? They were going to have restrictions on XP gain. They were going to throttle XP gain or bounty point, coin, realm point gains, so on and so forth. All sorts of different numbers you pile up. They were going to be throttled, which is the word they use, which was, you just don't want to say that when you're talking about restrictions, I think. That's not a great game, but that's not going to be the case. But yeah, there are still some restrictions in place. You still can't own land, still can't own a house. And I believe this says something about chat channels being restricted, which is makes sense for for a free-to-play game. You don't want gold sellers in there spamming every 20 seconds or whatever. So, but yeah, if you want to get into an old school, about as old school as they come, MMO for free, you'll be able to in the latter half of October, is what they're saying.
Did you ever play DAOC?
Nope, not once. I know our old friend Gary Gannon used to say, "Oh, it was RVR back when that was cool."
Yeah. Absolutely. I dabbled in it a little back then, but then I was more Final Fantasy XI at that time, so it wasn't going to pull me away from that. And while it's kind of cool that it's getting this free-to-play version, the limitations, okay, fine, they're easing up on them. I still got to wonder, like, and we saw this all over the comments on this piece, what is the incentive to play on the official free server when the Phoenix Dark Age of Camelot free shard is available for you to play on? I just don't understand. Like, if you're not going to make Phoenix go away, what does this free-to-play version actually get you that you can't get a better version of on the Phoenix free shard? I don't know. I don't know. This one's a little confusing for me. We'll, of course, check it out. God, I don't know. Should we even do a first look? The graphics. Oh.
Think your computer can handle it?
Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I don't know.
That's one thing. Let me just actually go back for a minute and say that is one thing that I've noticed with Destiny 2 is it doesn't seem to be. It's not making my video card spin like crazy like some games do. So that's nice.
But it makes your hard drive cry.
Oh yeah, 100 gig download. Yeah,
that's a big ass file. All right, another news of the variety and wow. Gaijin Entertainment, makers of War Thunder. Jason, you're really following this one. Not only did we not know that they were creating another game, we thought it was interesting that the CEO, COO, CEO, went ahead and did a little interview and said, hey, you know what? If Steam, a few years ago when we launched War Thunder, was anything like it is right now, we would not have put War Thunder on Steam. That's a pretty bold statement, Jason.
And they've doubled down on it by tweeting out that quote from the interview. Not only on the War Thunder account, but then it was retweeted by the Gaijin, or the other way around, I think. So they tripled down on it. They are definitely casting shade on Steam and saying basically it sucks. It doesn't do anything for us or whatever. But yeah, if so, then pull it off of Steam.
Yeah, and in your article, you kind of, in a pithy way, as Jason Winter often does, said exactly what I was thinking when I read the quote, and then I get down and I'm like, Jason already said what I'm thinking here. So to read you some of the quote, not the whole thing, some of the gripes that they have with Steam, to name a few. Currently, it's an overcrowded store with very small visibility, a complete inability to track leads, and so the inability to use performance marketing, lack of A/B tests, and general options to customize game pages. And although we do have War Thunder launched on Steam, that launch was done a long time ago when Steam actually exposed games to a broad audience, 4 years ago. In Steam, is that what it is, 4 years for War Thunder?
Actually 2013, 6 years.
6 years, sorry. In Steam's current state, we wouldn't have launched this game on Steam at all, regardless of the appearance of the Epic Game Store. Most users that we have there, we brought there ourselves, and Steam just gets its rather big commission, about 30%, benefiting from our efforts. And immediately, Jason, you kind of said, then pull off of Steam. There is no drawback. If everything you are saying is true, there is only a net good for your company of recouping that 30%. By taking your game off of Steam, if this is 100% true.
And you know what? Don't bring future games to Steam like you did with Crossout 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
apparently Steam was still awesome back then, but, yeah, I mean, he's right. He's right in the sense that, yeah, it's overcrowded, very small visibility. But putting a game on Steam is like putting your game in Walmart.
Yeah.
Walmart's not going to have unless you're really big, unless you're, The Sims or World of Warcraft or Skyrim, they're not going to have a really big display showing off your game or whatever. It's going to sit there on a shelf next to all the other games. The key advantage being that there are like 8,000 Walmarts and they get a lot of people. That's why you have your game there.
Yep.
If you thought you could sell more by, selling off your website or making your own little store or whatever, you wouldn't go to Walmart, which, by the way, probably takes a larger than 30% commission off sales. So
yeah, a little bit.
That's the thing, too.
And before you jump to the conclusion, gang, of thinking, they're going to be moving to the Epic Game Store, and that's why it's so easy to badmouth Steam at this point. No, there are no plans to even put any games or future games from Gaijin on the Epic Game Store until at least the store can, in CEO Anton Yudentsev's quotes, overcome their weaknesses. So just throwing shade all across the distribution platforms. But they're making a game.
Yeah. They actually have been making it for a while now. They linked to an interview from like 2 years ago when they first
And it's
announced
not
it.
War Thunder 2. They said they're not doing that.
Yeah, War Thunder 2. They said sequels don't make sense because they just cannibalize your existing crowd for the most part. So unless I could see if your previous game was really small, like again, talking about it again, Guild Wars 2 versus Guild Wars 1. 1 was really small at the time. I don't know what I don't know what the case Destiny was, how original Destiny was compared when 2 came out. So that's probably a similar thing.
No, Destiny 1 was very big. It was
okay,
very big.
But even at the time of 2 coming out.
Yeah, in fact, there were a lot of people that didn't think Destiny 2 should have actually been a Destiny 2. It should have been the next expansion pack for Destiny 1.
They were actually. I went back and found the original document that they discovered when they were going to have new Destiny games like every 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, the new game or the not quite ready game is called Enlisted. It's a first-person shooter based on World War II battles, famous World War II battles that you can reenact with, as they say, 120 to 150 players. So pretty big deal. Kind of, in a sense, sort of like their Battlefield kind of thing, I suppose.
Yeah, it sounds like very Heroes and Generals-ish.
Even that only has about 25 or 30 players per side, I think. So, yeah, this is definitely looking to be a lot bigger. And they've got a website. They've got a lot of screenshots on there. And this is the game that I've talked about before. They admit it's late. They intended to have it out by now. It is very late.
Not confirmed free-to-play yet, but leaning that way.
Yeah, it was interesting the way they said it. It was, well, let's see here. Is the game paid or free-to-play is the question on the site. It says, we ran a survey, and it showed that the vast majority of players prefer a free-to-play approach. This has influenced the game development process significantly. Such a change in the distribution model also requires a change in the design. This is why it will take us some time to prepare and implement new goals to adapt them to a new distribution model. What is left unchanged is our course towards wide-scale and realism, and the open development of Enlisted. So that makes it sound like they originally weren't planning to be free-to-play.
Yeah, like shit.
But they got a poll, I guess, survey, and people said they wanted to be free-to-play. Late 2017 is when it was supposed to be launching, apparently. So it's even later than Dark Age of Camelot.
Now this is where they said it's late.
Yeah, this is where he admits late. Yes.
It's just a bit. So we'll keep an eye on it. Jason, sounds like kind of the type of thing you might like. That's
I'll definitely look into it.
I know you liked Heroes and Generals for a while there.
Yeah, I'll definitely take a look at it. Hopefully they can actually get decent translations in this, unlike War Thunder.
And it actually comes out. So, good thing or bad thing before we slide over to the bombs here, Tencent acquired 29% of Funcom. So, as if they didn't own a piece of the pie in enough game companies, they now hold 29% of Funcom. Those shares were acquired from Norway-based KGJ capital AS. They used to be the largest shareholder, and after the sale's final, that will now be Tencent's claim to fame when it comes to Funcom. Honestly, we've had the scares before, Jason. X company buys Y company. Everything's going to go to hell and back. Tencent already owns a bunch of everything, including some companies that I think are doing, relatively okay. As far as their business models, things like, maybe Fortnite and Epic Games and League of Legends. This one, I think, is probably a net benefit for Funcom because it's Funcom and they could always use some funding. I don't think on the free-to-play front, I don't think, Age of Conan or Secret World Legends players really have anything to fucking worry about here besides maybe their game being shut down.
Which has been the case for years, even before this came about. But yeah, I mean, and if they'd have done this, 3 years ago, they probably could have had those 29% of shares for about 10 cents.
And it's also important to remember that being the majority stockholder or the majority stockholder does not mean that you have a controlling stake in the company, right?
29%.
You own 29%. You are the biggest stockholder in the company. You do not own 51%, which would be a controlling stake in the company. So, not like I'm sure Tencent can flex a little muscle here, but they're not going to be coming in making the new rules or else, Not that situation.
And I mean, certainly you look at what Funcom's done the last 2 or 3 years, how they've really pulled themselves out from
Yeah,
a
they
really
really
bad
have.
situation.
Yeah.
Largely thanks to Conan Exiles, granted, but the
Yep.
fact that they've been able to do that makes you think that, again, if this had happened 3 years ago, then you might have said, okay,
Yeah.
Tencent's going to tell them what to do because you guys are screwing everything up.
Yep.
But now that they're doing this,
Yeah, I
it's probably
remember
a better
what was the news
situation.
story? They were like, "We're debt free."
Oh man, I went through those financial reports for 10 years, and it was like, here's all the money we're making, here's all the money we're making, and Secret World, and oh god.
Yep. I don't think Secret World Legends is long for this world, as sad as that makes me. Let's slide over and do the weekly bombs. Jason, you're up.
I'm going to give a dub bomb to templates, build templates, and skill templates coming to, or trait templates rather, coming to Guild Wars 2, which the community has wanted for years and years and years. Finally going to happen, but people are a little unhappy with the monetization of them. You're going to get a few free, and then you can have some stuff that you can store in, like your cross account builds, your I forget what it's called, Armory, I think it is. But the issue is that after that many, you have to be able to pay. You have to pay for them, and people who are really into the game and have a lot of different builds. Some people are saying it's going to cost me like $60 to get enough templates for everything I use.
Oof.
And there's apparently a third-party developer who was actually making some of this stuff. He agreed that when the official version came out, he's going to shut down his stuff. And of course, again, that's going to make people upset because they're getting all that for free, and now they're going to have to pay for templates beyond the original. So, bit of an A-bomb on that front. So,
I'm going to give a dub bomb to the way Bungie did their jump to free-to-play, particularly from a content standpoint. There is tons of shit for you to do, and the past content is optional. You don't have to play through A Realm Reborn and Heavensward and Stormblood to play with me at Shadowbringers. There's too many shadows right now. So just intelligently done. From the viewers, Jow says, the bomb for Warframe's upcoming content to be released this October, most likely. Empyrean is a big step. That is a big update that's coming. We've been reporting on bits and pieces of it since we've started getting them from Digital Extremes. You're absolutely right. That is a huge update. Go ahead, Jason.
I thought it was December they were going to be doing
I think it's
new
December
game experience.
too,
Yeah. Which is what I was thinking of getting into. I was like, well, I'll wait until then, and then I'll jump into it. We'll see if I'm done with Destiny by then. Who knows? Bruckner Catalan says, I'd say Elder Scrolls Legend is third. So he's talking about, I guess, just talking about
card games, yeah.
Card games, yeah. It has 3 times the players also, even if Mythgard is a new release. With this little players at launch, it has no future. Yeah, that is, Elder Scrolls Legend is one game. I made a list of, like, just going by Steam charts of free-to-play CCGs. And Elder Scrolls Legend does do quite well. But let me check into Mythgard real quick. Is it really struggling that much? It has, about 250 players, which, let's just compare that to PlanetSide Arena,
which we're going to talk about in the next 2 comments.
Well, I haven't even looked. Currently 128.
Yeah, apparently we're not playing that right, Jason, you and I, since we thought that it was boring and slow. Gutham Duty says, PlanetSide Arena is amazing for an early access game. You guys just didn't know how to play it, and try again during prime time. And I'll just take the next one, too, because they're together. Rudnar the First says, if it was boring, they were playing super passive. This is a game that rewards playing aggressive, which in turn makes for fast action. Not saying the game is perfect, but it also sounds like they played 1 or 2 games not during prime time. It feels better than any other Battle Royale right now to me because they got rid of all the BS that's usually in a Battle Royale game. All right, Jason, I am willing to concede that on my schedule, I did not play my matches during prime time. However, I did not also feel that I was playing particularly passively or trying to hide and survive. I was working my way to the center of the map with my whole squad, and we all got there and fought whoever got there. So, yeah, it wasn't prime time, but I don't think I was playing passively. It was boring. It was boring to me. But I am willing to concede, Jason, that may be a possibility. It could be a possibility I played at the wrong time. Jason, you just redid the first look. You specifically waited for prime time to do the first look. What were the results?
It was like 9 p.m. on Monday night. And
9 p.m. Eastern, by the way. So
Yeah, 9
that's
p.m. Eastern. So
that's
yeah, it's like
6 p.m. on the West Coast all the way to 9 p.m. on the East. Prime time gaming evening U.S. time.
and there were like 50 people I think in our match, something like that. Now, I have played in the early afternoons and it's been like 30 people. So that's that's not the point though.
Let's
If
step in
your
the
game
right
can only
direction.
if your game can only get 30 people playing in the match in early afternoon, not like if it's 4 a.m. sure, okay, but 4 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. If you're only getting that much for a game, but you want to have 300 people in a match, you kind of got some problems. Like I bet you can get, and maybe this is unfair, but you could probably log into Fortnite and get 100 people at any time of the day. You can log into even some smaller battle royale games, Realm Royale or Ring of Elysium or something like that, and you can get a full match at pretty much any reasonable time of day, like 3 p.m. or something.
I will say this in response to both. I'm not discounting both of these points. I agree with you that it is a very well done early access game.
Sure.
Technically, it's doing all the things it's supposed to, and it's performing well. Its servers and the game itself, it looks okay. A little dated, but so's PlanetSide 2, and that's kind of where it comes from. Whatever. So yeah, I think it is actually pretty impressive for an early access game. I also think it's a pretty neat one. I don't dislike the game. I hate that there's not more people playing it because the whole point of the whole PlanetSide experience is the sheer volume of players, and this just doesn't have it, and so that excitement factor wanes for me. I'm not dissing the game, and if it came off that way, I do apologize. I'm dissing the fact that nobody's playing it, and people have to be playing it for this to be as exciting as it could be.
And we talked a little bit about the War Thunder thing. You don't want to make War Thunder 2 because it'll just cannibalize your previous game. And it makes you wonder now, PlanetSide 2 has a certain number of players, almost all of which you'd figure are the ones that are being pulled into PlanetSide Arena. So now you're kind of divvying up between those two. So what was the point?
Go ahead and take the next one, Jason.
Next one is Nico says, yeah, in PlanetSide Arena, if you play with 4 squads, it's boring. And then you are in a small space with 4 squads throwing orbital strike nades with 4 to 5 tanks in an area of 300 meters is too much. I hope we get PlanetSide 3 because I like PlanetSide 2.
I don't think you're going to get a PlanetSide 3. I just
you'll get
don't at this time. At this
right
point.
after EverQuest Next.
Volazar says Project C sounds like another one of those scams that have been done before. A few screenshots of something, very little info about what it actually is, and a high price. A year or so later, the information stops coming out at all, and everything goes quiet. Could be. I want to give them the best of intentions at the moment and say that they're actually working on a game and stuff like that, but you never know. You never know.
They are. They're just going at it the wrong way. Going at the asking money part of it the wrong way.
Exactly. They should not be asking for any money yet.
At least not $150 for the damn.
Question of the week last week. I know it wasn't going to be free to play at launch, at least, but I wanted to know your thoughts about Ashes of Creation, the MMORPG. Apparently, only Squeezy cared about the Ashes of Creation MMORPG, and honestly, most of Squeezy's comment is based upon the Battle Royale. Anyway, entering the Battle Royale genre so late in the game is already bad, and pulling their Ashes of Creation IP in is even worse. They're trying to milk their IP before even launching it into the world. Nothing screams, I want your wallet, more than using your IP to grab some quick cash before even releasing and building your IP's influence.
The landmark comparisons are valid.
True. If all it took was 1 week of development from the base game, then they should have just implemented that as a feature in the game instead of launching as a standalone. I didn't think there was someone else dumb enough, aside from Daybreak, to actually release something that should be a feature as a standalone game. And you know what? It's not just Daybreak and Ashes of Creation. There are a lot of companies that have done that. Ark notably comes to mind, and then that went away real quick.
They currently have about 250 players, by the way, in Apocalypse. So it's on PlanetSide Arena levels.
And Mythgard. Apocalypse could have been awesome as a solo group guild daily hourly event where the main quest is the general battle royale BS and side quests depending on how they enter the battlefield. Solo players would have to kill X players, groups have to control Y area, guilds have to build some sort of fort. It could be a feature that would make Ashes of Creation stand from its peers, but Apocalypse is just like any other battle royale. As a standalone game, it can only reward cosmetic items and some broken currency after every match, but if it was an in-game feature, it could provide resources, cosmetics, experience, and other rewards that could actually be converted to something in-game that would help your character and or guild. Really interesting take on that, Jason. I think more than just that this should have been in the game, or they shouldn't have done this at all. There's some valid points in there by Squeezy.
Squeezy always has the good points.
You are true. You are. Yeah.
We should get him on the cast. He should be in the third box right now.
Squeezy, where you should be in this box right here. Question of the week this week. Now that it's free to play, Destiny 2 or Warframe? Tell me why in the comments below. Which is the superior game for the free-to-play player? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give us your weekly bomb, dub bomb for something good, a bomb for something bad in the world of gaming. Your questions, comments, or whatever you want to talk about, we'll be sure to put it on next week's show. Until then, Jason, where can everybody find you?
Find me on Twitter at Winter Informal, streaming twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can find me right there on Twitter at MagicMan1. But more importantly, while you're there, follow at MMOBomb so you can get tweets for all the latest first looks, giveaways, interviews, articles, and so much more. Now I'm going to go play some Destiny 2, then play some Final Fantasy, trading card game, then play some Destiny 2. Till next week, stay safe. See you on the servers.